So here's an entertaining one about a father who comes up with a pretty creative and entertaining way to demonstrate to his wife what happens when she undermines him with regards to laying down the law with the children, rules and consequences and all that. And this also backs up why boys in particular need a male role model, a father there. Because moms typically, not all the times, but very common, are softer on the boys than they are with girls. The boys can get away with a lot more things, and therefore the boys will sadly be boys to a whole different level, while a father would lay down the law regardless of the boy's feelings, and you'll see. Title: How can I, a 38-year-old female, get my husband, a 40-year-old male, to parent our kids again after I stopped his punishment? It says here, let me be the first to say that my oldest son is in his last year of high school and is not the biological son of my husband. In other words, the husband now was the stepfather. In other words, he was with a single MOM. Smack to him, and watch this. My husband and I have been married for 14 years and have two other beautiful kids together. My oldest son's father is not in the picture. My husband is the dad in all respects to my son. All the above is said just to clarify our dynamics. Shocker. The son's father's not in the picture. Is he not paying child support? So that was the guy she really liked. Didn't work out with him. He headed to the hills, and she found herself a white knight who she undermines. About my husband, I do love him a lot, as he cares for me and cares for the kids the same. I never had seen any favoritism of any kind towards one another. So no, she said, yeah, I love him a lot. When I hear that, that doesn't tell me she actually deeply loves him. It's more like as a friendship, business partner, that type of thing. 2 weeks ago, while me and my husband were on our way home on the highway, a car came speeding past us. My husband asked me if that was our son because it was the exact same car that we bought him. My husband sped up and caught up to the car. I think we were going 95 miles an hour when we caught up. Don't quote me on the speed, please. I really only remember my husband saying, why the fuck is he driving 90 miles an hour? It was our son driving, and he was on his phone while speeding through traffic, texting. He was definitely texting because we could clearly see him having both hands busy with his phone from the opposite lane. So this little shithead is driving 90 miles an hour down the highway, and his hands aren't even on the wheel, and he's texting away. This is how people get in tragic accidents. And the worst thing is when people do this shit, the ones doing this type of thing, not much happens to them. They end up harming somebody else or ending them. I would be through the freaking roof with this kid. Both parents, my parents would have been, but I would have been dumb enough to do that when I was younger. I wanted my husband to honk at him, but he said no, it might just cause issues and catch him off guard and cause an accident. There you go. When we got home, we parked behind our son. My husband walked into the living room and just held out his hand and said, give me the keys. My son asked why, and my husband raised his voice saying, give me the fucking keys. That little asshat had the nerve to say, why? When my son took the keys out of his pocket, my husband grabbed them and told me, you're no longer allowed to drive that car, and he left the room. Good for him. This kid needs to know there's fucking consequences, you fucking jackass. 90 miles an hour and texting away, distracted. This is how kids learn not to behave in a certain way. Consequences. The problem is that when you have two parents and one says one thing and the other's a push-up and says another, then the kids are going to do whatever they want. My son looked at me and asked, what is going on? I told him we saw him on the highway, and his eyes got real big, and as he struggled to say anything. Yeah, you're caught, dumbass. About an hour later, I heard my husband yell from the kitchen, I don't give a fuck about your job or school. You can walk, take the bike, or ride your bike, or take the bus. I don't care. You will not be driving that car again. Apparently, my son went to him to apologize, and when he did, my husband asked for the keys back because he needed to get to work. Too bad. You're going 90 miles an hour. You're texting away. You could have killed somebody. No. Find a way. Get an Uber. Get a Lyft. Get a ride. Have your mom give you a ride there. You can walk. You can ride your bike. I don't care if it's raining or thunderstorming or snowing. No. This is the reason he's doing this. And by the way, mom and dad paid for that car. They shouldn't have. He should have worked and earned the money for that car himself. So my son came to me a week ago and asked for the keys because he needed to get to work and it was raining. He apologized to me again and said it won't happen again. I relented and gave him the keys, and he went off to work. There you go. Now the kid already does know this. At the end of the day, mom will cave. Mom will undermine the father. And this is not actually his biological father. This is his stepfather. So I guarantee that's the back of that little fucker's mind. There you go. Unbelievable. You have to have a united front, parents. Otherwise, there you go. My husband came home and without saying hello, just asked where the car was. I told him that I gave the keys back to our son so that he can get to work. He used the same line on me saying, I told him, and you heard me, that he isn't allowed to drive anymore, and he could have taken the bike, bus, or walked. I told him it was raining, so I gave him the keys. I told him that he apologized and said it would never happen again. Bullshit. It will happen again. Or he'll be better covering his tracks so you don't know about that. Kids need to know there's consequences. Adults need to know there's consequences for their actions. Right? After that kid has to walk enough times to work, or maybe loses his job because of this, or who knows, or has to have the inconvenience of mom driving around, he'll learn, don't ever pull that crap again. My husband cut me off and said an apology won't stop an accident, or bring him back from the dead, or other back from the dead. He hasn't learned a thing. I told him that I paid half the car, and it was a gift from us to our son, and I also have a say in it. It's what happened, as to what happens to it. She wrote this badly because she was obviously all emotional when she wrote this. See, notice the wife who doesn't get it. He apologized. See, she's falling for the boy's tear. I bet if this was a daughter, she wouldn't be so easy. She's a pushover. He's the one that lays down the law. He looked at me and said, okay, fine. All parental decisions will now fall to you. You are now the authority on that, so everything is now on your head. Since then, my husband has done not a single thing for my son or any other of the kids regarding discipline. When they ask for something, he just says, go ask your mother. Our kids are having free reign around him, and he just steps over every mess that they make. And when I asked him why he didn't stop our younger son from writing on the walls, he just shrugged and walked off. The youngest is writing on the walls. That would get me a beating in my house, but not that I would ever do that or any of this shit. See? What does that say about the kid's level of respect for mom? None. Because she's a pushover. Because she feels bad about hurting the kid's feelings. Guess what? Old school parents don't feel bad about hurting the kid's feelings. My parents didn't feel bad about hurting my feelings if I effed around. My parents wouldn't have had any hesitation when I was a kid if I misbehaved in public in a restaurant, at Disneyland. Oh, no. There'd be some ass whoopings. Oh, yeah. I tried to talk to him, and he said that you got what you asked for. No matter what I do, you seem to be the authority on any decision with our kids. So I just removed the middleman. And you can deal with them, and he walked off. What do I do? How can I get him to help parent the kids again? I'm at the end of my rope, and the kids aren't really listening to me like they do to him, but he is just allowing them to do whatever they want now. So there you go. Boo-hoo. Lady, I would imagine you have enough common sense to connect the dots. The reason they're raising holy hell is because they know there's no consequences with you. Children need to earn no respect and know there's consequences to their actions. That's how they become adults. And as adults learn there's consequences to their actions, like prison or the things like fines, community service, whatever, lawsuits. Otherwise, it starts at home with the kids. Your husband has kept the balance and law and order in the family. Your oldest son could have ended his life or somebody else's because of his actions. Your husband made a tough decision not a tough decision, but to the kid it was tough, taking away the car. And he learned anything, knowing that full well that mom at the end of the day will cave for his tears and his whining and his apologies. You want this fixed? You need to go to your husband and apologize profusely for undermining him and understand that's what it takes and that you are going to support your husband now, what he sees fit in terms of consequences lying down the law with the kids, regardless if you feel bad. And you will not cave again to the kids when they go to you and try to get you to change their mind on his decree, his judgment. That's what you need to do to him. And at that point then, back away. And no matter how much your kids whine and cry that dad's being mean, or taking away the toys from the younger kids, or yelling at them, or taking away the car from the oldest, you're going to back that up. Because otherwise, you're going to have hell. And if I'm this guy, I'm thinking, but by the way, I want to point to something out here. This goes to show you, remember, for the white knights out there that see that single mom and you feel bad for her because she's struggling, you're going to be the hero. Remember, at the end of the day, you're the stepfather, and you're not going to have that kid as well as the mom on some level whether they want to admit it or not, the same authority. I'm sure there's exceptions, but I'm talking about in general here. But yeah, but you need, and this is also to the parents out there, if you're starting off in life, you need to have a serious conversation with regards to the kids. If you may disagree with something that your husband is doing with regards to punishments or laying down the law, you then discuss it privately, not in front of the kids. There's no undermining him in front of the kids. She didn't do that here, but then they should have discussed it before, or she should have brought it up to him. But you can't do that. Otherwise, this is what you get. Now, the comment section is just tearing her apart, and they should. But there's a lot of parents out there who are like this. And again, this backs up, like I said, why boys need a male role model, a father in particular. That's a problem with a lot of these single MOMs. The mothers can love their boys, they can provide for them, be good to them, maybe raise these boys to be good kids, but they also need a father there to lay down the law and give the boy a kick in the pants when necessary, because moms generally feel bad. They're easier on boys. And, my mom was easier on me. When there were times that my dad wasn't around, and believe me, it should have been tougher. My dad didn't tolerate any bullshit. I didn't mess with him. I didn't mess with my uncle, my godfather, none of the men in my family, because the women are always softer than the boys. Always. My mom could be tougher on my sister, but not often because my sister didn't get in trouble. But that's the whole point there. So boo-hoo on her. She made her mess. Either she learns or not. And one day he may be pushed too far, and she may not like what he may do. There you go.